Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Day After Podcast.
What is up, guys? And guess what? After last night's episode, I was able to fight Q in a Pokemon battle. No, there was someone I faced who had whose name on there was Q. But I found it kind of like a funny coincidence.
You never
He is
know.
also, you- I don't know. I feel like this guy probably doesn't play Pokemon.
It's
He might.
possible. I don't know. I saw by the way, Q already has his cameo up. Usually players have to wait till the end of their season. He has already got it up. People are already getting cameos from Q. One of them is Steven Fishback, who basically got a cameo to or he like basically tried to fight Rob Cesternino to take over his podcast.
My God.
And it was hilarious.
That's
The
hilarious.
amount of times he would say "big mistake," great. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
He's a threat. Stuff like that. No, Q is good TV, but good God, I would not want to be on the same season as this man.
yeah,
This is just, you know, especially after the fallout of like last night, he basically was just ostracized. He became his two
mhm,
closest allies and whatnot are gone. The only person that was with him was Hunter, and then Hunter was still like, "Ah, man, I'm just kind of screwed."
yeah,
Um, so like he just kind of blew up his game. He's done. He's
yeah. He has no social capital, and no one is going to be even remotely trying to work with him in a vote.
especially now that Hunter is gone.
Yeah, yeah. Hunter is maybe the only one who would have been okay still working with him. But yeah. I mean, the thing is though, Q is the perfect person to bring to the end at this point. Like he does have that like
Yes.
no one will vote for him. No one's going to allow him to do anything. He's perfect for that.
The thing, and I know we're going way ahead of ourselves, but it seems like Maria tries to jump on that bandwagon a little bit and be like, hey,
Mhm.
um, we see that on the next time on Survivor. I mean, we have, you know, because like, especially with Tiff, one thing that was brought up, and we knew that idols were going to play a big factor into this because on the previously on Survivor, they were bringing up, oh, idols, both his and Tiffany's.
Mhm.
And so, like, we knew that it was going to be very, very prominent or very important to this episode. And when Tiffany, the stuff hit the fan with her, she's like, well, now that I have it, now that it's public, I need to play it. Otherwise,
Mhm.
people are gonna are
Yeah.
gonna, think I'm a bigger threat, which she ends up not doing, which
Yeah.
didn't you just say? I get it.
Yeah.
She didn't have to play it other than to get rid of it, but at the same time, it's like,
Yeah.
but now you've just kind of manifested the
So
thing.
so it's actually extremely smart because she went and said it right away. The thing is like Hunter then said that he had an idol way later into the
Right before.
process.
Yeah.
So the thing is that Tiffany was able to make no one want to vote for her because they're like, okay, we know she's voting. Let's put on a Hunter. Hunter does it way later. There's way I mean, I know that they probably just don't want to now switch over of votes too much. Like they know Q's the secondary target, like he's still the secondary target. Like let's just keep the votes the same. So Tiffany, I do think that that's a smart idea. Like the first time that you feel like you got to
Course.
say, I'm going to just play the idol because it's a public idol. Don't play that first time. Play it the next time. Like let people get afraid once because a second time they would be willing to like go for you at that point if you
Yeah.
lied. So now she kind of has to play it, I think, next episode. But this is definitely the way to kind of like get an extra like use of your idol almost.
Yeah. Because the thing is, it's like she doesn't know if she wins the next one or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like she was guaranteed not to need it this time.
Hmm.
Where, the next challenge she might actually win. Or with Hunter gone. Thing is, it's like I know they're like, oh, a new idol will be back in play. The thing is, it's like well, you guys haven't really searched for the merge idol,
Yeah,
um, which is like, I don't know, it's weird because there should be one.
yeah.
I would imagine someone was looking for it.
Yeah, it's definitely bizarre. This might be the longest stretch of episodes before like I guess like full end game of just no one finding idols. Like it's just like no advantages are being founded at all. It's just like I mean we're I guess we're just getting regular survivor for the most part because even the people who with idols are getting voted out and not using their idols.
Could this be the first season in Survivor history with idols where one is not played? I mean, obviously not the super idols where it works if it's activated, like with Yule or Terry Deeds.
Mhm.
But like, could this be the first one where, oh, zero idols weren't played at all?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it's definitely possible. Did I don't think was there any idols played in China? Because I know James got voted out with both of them. I don't think anyone else had an idol.
Maybe. I don't know
Yeah,
if it was put back into play or something.
yeah,
You might be right.
yeah.
I don't always know everything on here. Um,
Yeah,
I am not a
and that's
smart
gonna
person.
be great for trivia that is happening. Will be later today as of the upload of this. So
Yeah, yes. Um, yeah, so it's gonna be us, a bunch of Vanquish peeps, and we will be duking it out in trivia. It's not a mini or org or anything like that.
Mhm.
It is just a bunch of people that play minis and orgs testing their knowledge of Survivor. I think I'll do okay-ish. I already know. Thing is, it's like there's three captains: Pirate Sarah, Kevin Hanna, and then Cameron. His last name is a lot, but the Canadian Cameron. There, I gave you a nickname. It's probably better than the nicknames you've got in the past. Uh, because anyway, we're gonna talk about this season. But yeah, stay tuned for that. Link will be, like if you're on our Discord, we'll post a link there. If you, it'll probably be added to like on our message. You guys will know. You guys will know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
definitely. Yeah.
so going into this one, we went into, you know, it was. Did you find it weird that Liz kind of was freaking out about not getting credit for the move?
I mean, it makes sense in a regard just because I mean, I think that this season especially the criteria for the winning the game is going to be you need a resume mark because everyone wants to have that resume like check mark
Yeah,
of a big move. Um and because everything was so chaotic, I mean, I don't think Q gets the credit, but he like that's now the Q tribal council where he almost quits. Like more so than Tevin going home. Um, so I
yeah,
do understand it in that aspect, but I feel like her desperation now to make a big move is really going to come back to bite her.
I agree. I also am like, yo, if you make a big move and it goes unnoticed, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
The only time you want people to notice is at Final Tribal Council, you
yeah,
know?
exactly. Also, making a big move at final 10 at that point, like terrible time to make a big move. Like you want to do it way
At least
closer
a
down.
flashy big move, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Be like, you can be like, yeah, I voted with it and stuff, but like, no, you own the shit at the end.
yeah.
But nah. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I
no,
feel like they're I think that editors just want to make us really dislike Liz. Like I feel like the only time we ever get Liz content for the most part does not put her in the greatest of lights.
it
So
doesn't.
it like they're
Even
clearly editing her in a way that's supposed to make her seem like she's gonna lose the game.
you told me this last night because Joe and I were while the episode was going on. Um, this happened in the episode where I was a little bit thrown off by this, and I was like, I don't kind of like this. Where Jeff just called out Venus, Q, and Liz right when this three, like they had to divide
Mhm.
themselves into groups of three, which we'll get to that in a sec. I know I'm skipping ahead, but it's like
Uh-huh.
on the topic of Liz, and where Jeff was like, "You guys are gonna make it to round two," and I'm like, "Whoa, Jeff, what? I need more context. That just feels like an attack out of nowhere." Like I get Q a little bit, and I know that Venus isn't really liked by anyone on the cast, but she hasn't really done anything to you. But like, the fuck did Liz do?
Mhm.
And then Joe, tell me what she did.
Well, apparently, I mean, I was watching the episode. I watched with my friends the episode previous and the one that came out just last night. Um, and in the pool challenge where everyone is, on the pool and she goes out very quickly, Jeff makes kind of a comment about Q and Liz going out quickly, and Liz flips off Jeff Probst, and like we see it for like a second and then they try to cut away from it, but like we you definitely get a quick second of the blurs on her hands.
I mean, and like you don't flip off the host.
Yeah.
It's like if you're good friends with someone, that's one thing. Where if like Joe was like, "Ha, ha, ha, Ryan, you couldn't put quarters into a fork and whatnot," and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's one thing because Joe and I, we goof around shit like that.
Yeah.
But to the host of someone, it's like, no, I don't think you're there. And I get it. Uh, well, no, I mean, like sometimes Spicy Jeff, as he's
Mhm.
been dubbed, which I'm like, I don't know, like Spicy Jeff. Sometimes you don't want to be teased and whatnot, especially because we touched on it a little bit last time. But like, that was a huge thing where I was like, Liz knew she wasn't going to win it
Mhm.
and she wanted to drop out and probably get like food and whatnot. But because no one else did, like she felt like an idiot. And then to be, also berated for it
Yeah.
as well. Like I can imagine like, uh she was feeling pretty bad in that moment and that was like an impulse thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, also, if you're just looking at it, even if you don't know like that or you missed that little part, um, she has not been eating on Survivor. That is a known fact by everyone. Production, the cast. So clearly she's not going to be very strong in a lot of these challenges. Venus, I think she's good in some endurance stuff, but not like the first legs, which are a little more, some more strength can be kind of added into them.
Yeah.
And then Q literally just quit. So like if you're or like tried to quit, like those that is how he's assessing in that moment those three players.
Yeah. It's just flat out. All right. When he did it the first time with the Yanu tribe, that
Mhm.
was hilarious because it
Uh-huh.
was like or if you are in and then someone says last place, or I was going to say Yanu. That was funny. It was still a little below the belt, but it was funny. This one, it was just like, whoa. It's
Yeah.
like you're just randomly in a group of people, and then one person just attacks the other,
Yeah, it
and it's
definitely
like,
feels weird coming from the
why?
host, obviously, because like the host is supposed to be
Yeah,
not biased towards who's gonna win a competition.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was weird. But yeah, so kind of backtrack. This also happened pretty early in the episode. With an
Mhm.
hour and 30 minutes, you would think that this would be at the halfway mark. This is like at the two-thirds mark, where they're like, hey, Tree Mail, you have a challenge. Divide yourselves into groups of three. And even Jeff was like, y'all, there's like $1 million on the line. This is how you guys chose. And like because it did happen very casually.
Mhm.
Um, and I think Charlie has kind of put it best where it's like, yo, this is the vibes aren't given here. Uh, we just want to make sure we're not with the Q craziness, like what Tiffany said. Want the Q craziness to be in that group
Mhm.
as well as it's tough to want to do anything more strategic at this point because it just puts a target on your back and there's so much shit going on. You don't want that.
Yeah.
Uh yeah.
Yeah, now we know kind of from I feel this cast. They like to make things up a little bit last minute. Like and then they are so much so that I feel like people are going into these tribal councils not knowing who they're voting for.
Yeah.
So
Well, maybe because I feel like so many things keep popping up for it.
yeah, well, it's because
Like,
we have like 6 or 7 people who are trying to call the shots. Like that's way too many people who are right away trying to like be saying this is how we're voting.
yeah, and then it's tough to get a plan going.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we start out this challenge, and Jeff even admitted that I was like, "Oh, looks like Q, Venus, and Liz are proving me wrong right now, and they're gonna move on. Oh, and obviously the one with Hunter is going to move on as well." And so it's one of those 3, 2, 1 kind of challenges where it goes to like 3 to 2 people that,
Yeah.
or like 2 groups, then one group. Sorry about his fees. And then, they start going from there,
Mhm.
like and then like the final one was an endurance one. And even going into this, Q was like, "Hey, you guys might want to throw this because Hunter is probably going to win it." Um, which I mean, Q's still trying to put strategies out there. I mean, I
Uh-huh.
don't blame him. It's like, what else is he going to do?
I mean, it makes sense. Like his logic really does make sense that don't let Hunter
Yeah,
win. But he is not in the position to be able to ask someone else to throw the challenge so that way one person doesn't win immunity.
yeah. It's tough when you're on the bottom to play the game.
Yeah,
Uh, because even when you make logical sense, and I know this from experience,
same.
um, Corey, uh, when you bring up facts to someone, they just completely ignore it. If
Yeah.
anything, they do the opposite, out of spite. Um, Shade thrown, but spicy Ryan. Yeah. So, yeah. So, like, I get it too, and I'm like, I would imagine the idea would have came across Charlie or Mariah's or Maria's head either way because it's like, that is one way to get rid of a big threat because thing is like Q is on the bottom and you brought this up. Who's really going to vote for him if he does make it to the end?
Mhm.
Uh so but it didn't look like they were truly entertaining that idea too much.
No, I think he's gonna kinda be the patsy in case an idle play gets used. I think
Yeah,
he's gonna be the people you can easily tell, "Let's go Q," and then a real plan gets created on someone else.
yeah. I mean, we saw that happen tonight with how like how they split 4 on Q, 4 on Hunter, and if Hunter played his idol, Q would have gone. Uh,
Mhm.
and yeah, uh, I know like we're going through this pretty fast, but it's because this episode, like, I think you're kind of right. It's a sense of like so little has happened, but so much has happened in an
Yeah.
hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah. Well, it's because
Um,
I mean, it has some of the early stuff that happened, like especially with the Banu, is like there's one huge story that they're telling, and so we're getting stuff of people talking about that story, but like because it was probably I think just it's supposed to be an hour, we get it kind of extended here, so it feels like we're
yeah,
getting more content, but we're not really getting that extra content. We're getting more of the same stuff that we would have been getting.
yeah, I agree. But yeah, uh, and then it's the final 3 of that challenge, which is
Mhm.
Hunter, Maria, and Charlie. And Charlie in that moment is like, "All right, endurance comp." Now that one is tricky
Mhm.
for the big guys or people with like bigger feet and
Yeah.
whatnot, because it's like you have less surface area of your total foot on that perch. And this Jeff even did this a little differently than he's done in the past. He's like, "No, you can't crouch or anything. You're gonna suffer. No relief."
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It was definitely brutal. I mean, yeah, like I just think about like the blisters on your heels and your back feet, like the next day and moving forwards. Like I feel like that's the kind of challenge that like if they were up there long enough, like that's going to cripple you like moving forwards. Like not like physically, like, oh my gosh, I'm like my legs are totally out, but like
Yeah,
your challenge performances are going to be definitely reduced moving forwards. At least I would assume.
you would assume correctly.
Yeah.
As someone who has won an endurance comp, especially because, all right, for those who haven't seen the Heroes versus Villains mini, I did a 9.5 minute plank because I had to win it. Otherwise, I would have been eliminated that round. And then, it literally took everything I had. I couldn't even like sit up afterwards for like a solid 30 seconds. I was too sore to sit up. Um, and then the next challenge we do involved dexterity after I've been using all my arm muscle and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I couldn't power through. I couldn't do it. Clearly, Anthony was able to because he was the last one to drop. So he made it to 9.5 minutes and then he dropped. But he was
Mhm.
able to bounce back. It's tough to bounce back from those challenges. Granted, they have an entire day, but yeah. I don't think this one went on for too long though. I think
Yeah.
because you weren't able to get those relief thing, it kind of expedited it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it could have been worse. I mean, good thing there's only like 3 people who are doing the challenge. Like, if you had to do the whole everyone up there and Venus, I feel like Venus would have been up there for like at least 30, 40 minutes, I bet.
Yeah.
Um,
Those challenges like that usually do benefit someone with a more slender build because
mhm.
it's less weight you are holding up.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and
yeah,
I do think Venus is really good in endurance challenges. Like we saw it in the pole challenge, which I don't even think is the best for her build in terms of endurance challenges, but she's still, third in that challenge. So
going toe to toe with Hunter and Charlie.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So when I think we get some more of the, like maybe just like something's on their head and they're like trying to make sure that everything's balanced. Like we see some of those sometimes. I feel like those will probably be in her wheelhouse more so and potentially winning those. But we'll have to see.
yeah. Uh, well, I mean, to kind of like continue on because Charlie does end up winning.
Mm.
But before that, we heard someone was like, "Oh, Predator and Prey," and then Hunter, being a little cheeky, was like, "Or the Hunter and the Hunted." Which don't get me wrong, I don't think that was cockiness. It's like the joke was there. You just
Yeah.
kind of have to go for it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think has a lot of cockiness in him. Like even though he like did like the like going back on the pole thing the other episode, like I still
Yeah,
almost don't even think that's cocky. I think he just was like, dang, I had something else I was gonna be that I planned to do and I didn't get to do
yeah.
it.
I mean, I'm someone where I can be a little flashy and show offy because but I might have done shit like that. But no,
Yeah,
Hunter, I think he's a good dude and stuff. It's just that it was tough for him to like he kind of knew that he had to like win out and rely on his social game.
yeah.
um, Especially when he started because like from pre-merge for him, he knew that that target was going to be on his back, and because he was winning those challenges and making
Mhm.
that tribe one of the most winning tribes in Survivor. Uh, so yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think because remember Jonathan Young had a similar thing in his season though, where he just clearly was the biggest challenge threat going into the merge. But he made a very immediate connection with someone else on the other tribe who had most of these social capital and social connections in Mike,
yeah,
which
yeah,
allowed a player like Jonathan, who seemingly is this really strong challenge player to get further into the game. Hunter didn't I mean, apparently he did try to do that with Kenzie. But
yeah,
Kenzie really wasn't actually in it as much as Hunter thought. Um, like he we see it in the episode him coming to her and saying like you're my number one basically. And apparently that was true. Like he actually 100% believed Kenzie was his number one in the game at that point. Um
Yeah.
so so he tried to do that, but it wasn't as I guess real as the Jonathan Mike bond was.
Well, I mean, it's tough to say. And
Mhm.
it is kind of funny because we're bringing this up about Kenzie, but I remember us being like, "Oh, the Yanu 3, their games are going to be totally screwed when they get to the merge because Banu just like blew up all their games saying Mackenzie is this huge social threat and that Tiffany and Q were this giant duo
Mhm.
and stuff like that." But it looked like it didn't really affect their games really at all.
Nope.
Because
Yeah, I think it may yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just were like, Yanni was a hot mess over there. Like, maybe Banu and Zelensky get a bunch of blame for the Yanu perception. So they're just like, thank you three for somehow surviving that train wreck.
yeah, good gosh. Yeah, so and I think it's also because like Hunter did have like, his duo with Tevin. He had his duo or like, like I would say that was basically his number one throughout the game. And then with that gone, who did he have left?
Hmm.
Q.
Yeah.
And Q wasn't really thing about Q is like he's like he like in the episode prior, episode several, things were already kind of going downhill for him. So it was hard for him to like fully be on the Q train because Q train was kind of, you know, about to go off course, off the rails. So Hunter now is like, all right, now who can I make a bond with going forward?
Uh-huh.
Uh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Also, real quick, last episode wasn't episode several. It was episode 8.
my bad.
Oh, good. I waited for you to finish your thought before letting you know that. But
You had to hold that in for a while.
yeah, I know. I thought about saying it right away, but I was like, no, I'll wait. And then you just kind of kept going, and I was like, okay, I'll. I'm still thinking it.
Yeah.
um, yeah, nah. It's definitely interesting. I wonder if there's a little bit of an act between Q and Tiffany still. Like, I know that they've had a whole thing at Tribal Council, like, Yanu
Yeah.
three's dead. I almost wonder if there is a little bit of like faking it because I know Tiffany voted Hunter instead of
Yeah.
Q. So like I think she's okay with Q being like the pawn almost or the secondary targets, but I think that I think she actually doesn't want him to be the first target going home.
Well, and I think that's always a tough thing. It's like I don't even think if it's like, oh, it's dead. I think an alliance is as real as much as you make it.
Yeah.
You know, you could have deals with someone, stuff like that. And I feel like with Q, and I think we touched on this earlier, it's like he doesn't really win at the end, so why get rid of him so fast? And also another thing of like Q is always going to be a bigger name or like a name that's always going to be brought up, and eventually he'll go out. So why not keep that around, especially because of that idol thing? It's like I don't know if she gets greedy next time and doesn't play it again, but it's one of those things where it's like the option is there if
Yeah.
Q is still around, causing more chaos.
Yeah.
Q could be quiet. Um, I mean, people are talking to Q, which is honestly the best thing for Q because it's like, well, if he's not being talked to or anything, then his threat level goes way down, which is
Mhm.
what he wants
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah. Definitely. He's definitely useful in the sense that if you get down to like 5 or 6 where that's like the very dangerous part of the game and he's still in the game, easy person that you can just get everyone to vote for. Or if you are looking and you're like, wait a second, I already have like two or three other big threats that are around me in this five or six. I got to keep
Yeah,
Q now. Now suddenly he is a very important person to have on your side going into those because you know you can beat him.
yeah, because it's kind of interesting because there was a moment when everyone was talking after Charlie won the advantage, where I
Mhm,
thought there was going to be this kind of outsider alliance. Because like when Tiff said she was gonna play her idol and stuff like that, and Hunter was starting to his spidey senses were tingling, and he was like,
mhm.
"Oh, wait, this might actually be me going home." There was a hint where I'm like, "Okay, are they gonna do like an outsider alliance between Venus, Hunter, Liz, Q?" Because I'm like, I was starting to think these four are on the outs. Their names keep, or I know two of their names keep coming up. That would involve Hunter wanting to work with Venus, so very unlikely, but it was starting to shape that way, or did you kind of pick up on that?
No, I didn't. I think Venus and Liz think they're on the tippity top and don't think they're on the bottom whatsoever. I think they both have such massive egos that they think that they are calling the shots on the tribe. And whoa. And if they were told that they were on the bottom, they would say you're wrong.
Thing is, it's like with Liz, I don't think she's necessarily on the bottom. It's
Mhm.
just that I don't think, and I think this is part of where her frustration comes from. I don't think that anyone is taking her seriously as a player,
Uh,
which I understand the want to be taken seriously as a player. Um, but at the flip side, it's like if you're able to do that sleeper thing, why not? But I don't think at Final Tribal Council they might give her that credit,
yeah.
depending on who she's sitting with. Whereas with Venus, I think, yeah, I think you're spot on, where it's like because her name keeps coming up, they think she's a threat, but at the same time, she never goes home because
Mhm.
she keeps getting the numbers to take someone else out.
Uh-huh.
So there's a lot of merit to what you say there.
Yeah. Yeah. I just feel like right now, honestly, Charlie and Maria are the ones kind of calling the shots, and I would probably say Kenzie is also up there. Like those three to me are the ones who have actually been, deciding who's going home.
Yeah.
Uh, Q's been this kind of front leader for a few votes of like trying to do stuff, but no one's really taking him too seriously. They're just like trying to be in his good graces, and now they're just like, okay, screw your good graces, like you try to quit. Um, and
You're right.
yeah, and now I think yeah, I think it's very clear that Charlie, Marie, and Kenzie are the ones who are really driving what's happening in the game.
Yeah. I would also throw Ben's name in there as well because I think that that Rita 3 is pretty solid in the sense
Mhm.
of like they're sticking together with all this craziness. Because I think Ben is obviously number 3, but at the same time, I don't think they're as concerned with Ben flipping because he seemed like a very loyal, straightforward dude. And I feel
Mhm.
like that's a great ally to have, or a great third to have as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. We got kind of the first time we actually talked negatively about someone in this episode too. He kind of
Yeah,
he
with
was going in
Q,
on
which
Q.
yeah, the dude that's all about the positive vibes was like, no, this dude was an idiot. He's being selfish. That was
Yeah,
crappy gameplay, self-righteous bull crap.
yeah,
Saying all that stuff.
yeah.
Um, and it's one of those things where you're doing something bad if the most chill guy is getting heated talking about you.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely interesting. I mean, I like okay. Let's create the scenario here to see if Q has any chance of winning the game. If Q wins every immunity from here on to the end, that would be one, two, three, four, five, six immunities. So he goes on a six immunity run, plays and he finds the merge idol, plays it
Wait, six
six.
immunities because it would
I think so,
be
right? One.
final three, so it'd be five.
Oh yeah, yeah, five.
No, wait,
So no,
five
no,
or
no.
No,
No. You're right.
5, yeah.
It's five. Five immunities. Plays the merge idol successfully, taking out, let's say, the biggest threat, Kenzie. Kenzie goes home. Does he win that final three? And now he's up against Venus and Liz. Does he win that final three?
I mean, it definitely I think it's really, really tough. I
Uh-huh.
don't think it's impossible.
Uh-huh.
I'm not saying that he does.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that
Yeah.
really factors in what to Venus and Liz does. I think honestly, out of the three, I think Venus wins that final three.
Yeah.
But and the thing of like with Q, because we've kind of seen something similar before where Romeo from 42, not saying
Mhm.
like because these obviously the two are polar opposites,
Mhm.
except two fit guys, but fit in different ways. But like Romeo being on the bottom, not really being able to play the game, but able to make it to the end, and even like, playing idols and whatnot to get him further and further to there. But, you know, uh, I'd say it's tough
Mhm.
because it's like, well, who else is there? Also, if Q wins fire, did they say whether or not that fire making is going to be used this season or no?
I
Or
believe
is
it
it
is.
47, 48 where they might switch it up?
I believe
Yeah,
it's 47, 48 because this was already filmed with 45, so I'd imagine they're using the same rule sets.
yeah. So anything is possible. Q is a good talker. It's just the fact that he talks too much and then people kind of caught on to it.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier about, oh, you can bring up logical points and whatnot and really make sense. Like he was saying, like, hey, throw it so that Hunter doesn't get the chance to win immunity.
Uh,
But if you're on the bottom, people are less likely to listen to you. And
yeah.
so, like, if you made it to the end and people know that you're always talking and trying to scheme and whatnot, quote unquote, people are less likely to take what you say to heart. So
Yeah.
I think it might be tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think,
I just wanted to create this just to see because like it's definitely in the consensus that there's no way he wins if he gets the final three, but like there is still enough game that you could potentially, in a
yeah,
season full of checking resumes, like it is possible to do it. It's just I feel like he needs such precise like things happening for him to be able to do that, which
here, here's the thing. Sometimes play, you have to play to your win condition, even if it's
yeah,
like 10%,
yeah,
even if it's like 5%. It's like, I mean, yeah, he was thinking about quitting, stuff like that, following the sword there, but at the same time, it's like I don't think he does that again. I don't think he tries to attempt that again because like even Kenzie was like go,
mhm,
quit.
yeah,
Uh
yeah.
make that noble sacrifice.
Yeah, get out the door. um, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I guess even in that scenario, I mean, I don't know though. I think no one wants Venus to win the game. I feel like her getting ahead of you like sucks for people. Like they really hate
Yeah.
that.
I think the thing is if Venus makes it to the end, I'm not doing it just because she's pretty or just because to play devil advocate, but it's like it's one of those things where because she's had this big target on her back this whole time, but still makes it to the end. And if she's like, yeah, but no one ever followed through with making that move. And my big targets, which were Soda, which were um, which were was Tevin, which was Hunter, all the people from my original tribe, I was able to take out in a row. It's like I think there could be an argument, depending on how the
Yeah,
rest of the game goes and who
yeah,
she sits with at the end, that she can win this game. I think it's more so than Q
yeah,
and Liz, or at least we have to see more of the game. Like you said, there's five
yeah,
more eliminations to go before then, but I
yeah,
feel like there's a lot more gameplay. But if you stop and think about it, Venus actually has a pretty decent resume right now.
So here's the
Terrible
weird.
social game, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, no, I wasn't even gonna go
Terrible
there. I
social
wasn't
game.
even gonna go there. I was just gonna say, I think the Nami tribe came in with such a huge target, and the other two tribes really did use Liz and Venus, who seemed like the most wanting to take out the Nami members, and
Yeah,
use that to make the moves. And Venus just now,
decimation of it.
and then
Yeah.
Venus gets to say, "Look at me, look at my moves," where everyone else is like, you sure about that?"
It's tough to really say because at the same time, it's like, well, I mean, that's what they wanted to do. So technically, it is their move. But here's the thing, everyone has a vote. And yeah, it does take people other than yourself to vote someone out, unless you're just playing an idol and then all the votes are you, and then you set someone out. You have to get people. There is no singular move that is made in Survivor
Yeah.
unless it's an idol that you play and you
Mhm.
cast the one soul vote.
Yeah. Or if there's a final 2 and you win the immunity at 3, then you also do that.
Yeah. So, or like even fire making, but at the same time, it's like people can convince them and whatnot. There is no vote that is, for the majority of the game, there is no move that is truly all yours.
Yeah.
And some people will probably call her out on that if she makes it to the end, be like, yay, it's because people decided to do it. But it's like, yeah, well, my target went out
Yeah.
and I'm here, you're there.
Yeah. I just feel like I could see her being like a sugar at Final Tribal, where like she just starts flipping people off and is like upset that anyone questions her, which I just can't ever imagine her having an actually good tribal council where people are going to be like pressing her hard, because she could maybe do it if people liked her, if somehow people liked a Regina George in their lives. But when you're with normal people, I don't think she's going to have that luxury of people really giving her softball questions. Like they're going to, say that she's a rude, spoiled brat, most likely. And she's gonna,
Yeah,
yeah,
you,
she's
you
gonna
make
go bad.
you make a extreme, probably the most solid point in that. That's if those people make it to the end. I think
Yeah.
it's tough to say. I think confessional accounts might give us a hint of that, but what we still have to talk about tribal council because a few pretty interesting
Mhm.
things happened. For the first time in Survivor history, Jeff has a comfortable seat. Apparently, he never thought to put a cushion on his stool.
Yeah. I thought you were going somewhere very different. In fact, that he gave out free popcorn
Not
to,
that too. He was being, I wouldn't say spicy. He was being sassy. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'm
yeah,
putting out popcorn and stuff," and he did actually give out food to people in the new era, which is like a huge no-no in his
yeah.
book.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of wish you rolled out like buffalo wings or something. It's like, okay, Spicy Jeff is here.
I think that would
um,
have been. I think the popcorn thing to really emphasizes the joke of like, "Oh, I'm getting grabbing the popcorn because this is juicy."
yeah.
Because the episode prior, episode 8, uh, thank you, was, that tribal, no one had any idea what was going on. The whisperings were happening, but it was even like no one knew that Q was gonna say the thing. It was like good TV in the sense of like, I don't know what's gonna happen next. With
Mhm.
this one, it's like, and I feel like the contestants, they know it's so chaotic that they don't even know what's going on, especially leading up to this one. And even during it, like people are talking, and then Hunter is like, yo, is it actually Q?
Yeah.
Are we safe?
Yeah.
Because he
Hunter
wasn't,
was not focused on tribal council. He was focused on everything other than the questions. He was,
yeah,
yeah.
and I get it. Like, because I don't think Hunter is a bad person in the sense of like he wants to blindside anyone or anything like that. He wants to play a faithful, loyal game. But at the same time, not everyone is going to be playing that game.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's tough because like he was doing the math and everything. And I think in some exit interviews, it was like, oh, the math was like he shouldn't have played it. But at the same time, I think because with how much because he was having there was something sus going on, and, like,
Mhm.
he knew it in his gut, but he wanted to believe in people,
Yeah.
and I feel like sometimes that want to believe that people aren't after you outweighs logic and common sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're Hunter and you were the strongest guy on the cast at that point in the merge, you
Yeah,
have an idol, you just won the previous challenge, and then kind of showed off and that you can do more. Um, you 100% you play your idol at the next chance. When you win that challenge, you officially acknowledge that you got to win out. And so I mean, he does it very early. Like I always say, if you're a challenge threat, you should lose your first two or three immunity challenges just because otherwise
yeah,
you get forced into playing that game style, which is not great. Um, so the fact that he did it that early meant he has to win out. You got to play your idol first chance you get, and then win every challenge after that.
yeah, yeah, man. Uh, yeah, so and I think that's the thing too, like, he knew that he would, and I don't know, sometimes I don't know this from experience, because the one time I did have a idol, I did play it safe where I was like, "Just to get to the merge, here we go."
Mhm.
But I feel like sometimes and we saw this happen with Bruce, you get too comfortable holding on to it, where
Yeah,
it's like, "Oh, well, they didn't vote me out last time, so maybe they're not gonna vote me out this time." The thing is, it's like because misplaying an idol always sucks because, it's like, "Oh, this is your" like, it's almost like a get out of jail free card where it's like, "Oh, I should have
mhm,
been eliminated here, but I'm not going to." So misplaying an idol always sucks 'cause, like, "Damn, I wasted that opportunity."
mhm,
However, idol plays and timing it out perfectly is something where it's a game changer. It's
yeah,
something that people fear, that they build strategies around
yeah,
because of the threat of the idol. And we've seen it before, where implicit immunity and stuff like that can take you further. It did with Tiffany in this episode, where she felt like she didn't have to play it. She didn't have to play it, and so she didn't.
yeah. Exactly. So lesson for every Survivor player: if you at any point become a threat that people are talking about, and you know your name is out there, and you have a hidden immunity idol, it's probably just better just to use it. You know, don't be the idiot who gets voted out with an idol in their pocket. Like like I'd rather misplay an idol than get voted out with an idol. Like
Same,
it's just better.
same. Yeah, I'd rather swing for the fences than not go to the bat
Yeah.
when it comes to that. Like if I'm in it, and I feel like he obviously knows that was a big mistake, and it's something it's gonna be tough to like live down,
Yeah.
but I don't know, it's always a tough call. But at least he's not alone. At least I don't think he would ever say this, but because it already happened this season with Jem. But I would say that Jem had no idea she was going, nor
Yeah.
she would have too much reason to expect she was going.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
they're definitely very different, Gem and Hunters
yeah,
here, I feel. Like, I like my friends who I watched with, like, they immediately went to, like, Gem stupid for not doing it, but I was like, "No, honestly, like, how does she know?" And they're like, "Oh, I mean, I guess that makes sense." So,
yeah,
like, they were able to, like, realize it, whereas this one, like, there's kinda no justification that I have for Hunter not playing it. Like
yeah.
that 100% a blunder. Like that is
It was it was brutal to watch. I was like,
yeah,
I was just kind of like squinting because I'm like, I kind of knew what was gonna happen. I was like, man, oh gosh. Uh, one with because of the previously on Survivor, the recap they gave in the beginning.
mhm,
Another was just like because it was being so milked. Do I play my own? Do I not? I'm just like, this is really hard to watch because Hunter is a nice dude. I like Hunter. I don't want him to go out this way, but he
yeah,
went out that way.
yeah. yeah, it was unfortunate, and somehow, if anyone out there is keeping track of our draft, um, it's ridiculous how it's been going down. Ryan's got the paper document of it,
Yeah. Let's
right
see if
there.
it'll focus. Yeah, so if you can see the past the chicken scratch and the glare. So like we are the most even possible because Kevin was my number two pick. And for Joe, his number two pick was Hunter. So we are, I don't know how like the points go right now, but like placement wise, everything ever since Gem, it's been the same column. It would be like odd, even,
Yeah,
even, odd, whoever. It's
yeah,
insane how that
yeah,
happened.
yeah. It has been the exact same draft placement eliminations that have been going on, which is I straight up have no idea how this is happening. It's kind of nutty, honestly. How
So depending on who gets eliminated next episode, we could already call it.
yeah,
It's prophesized at that
yeah,
point.
exactly. Let's see. Where's Q? So Q's number 4. So Q and Kenzie. If they did go for Q, I don't know if Kenzie goes next. So.
No.
Um,
Uh maybe. Thing is, Kenzie is a huge threat in this game, but she's in a decent enough position. Uh I don't know, because right now she has the most confessionals, right?
no, Q does.
Alright.
Yeah,
I
because
guess this is a
Q
transition
had
into that.
Yeah, Q had 15 that one episode previous, so that just like skyrocketed
Whoa.
him. Yeah. Um so let's see. Hunter, yeah, going to conventionals. Hunter, who just got out, had 33 confessionals at the end. Still less than Banu, by the way. Banu still had more confessionals than Hunter.
Baffling to think about.
Yeah, wild. It's that like 2 episodes of Banu basically made him one of the highest like in the higher average of confessionals. Crazy. Okay, so yeah, Q has the most with 58 confessionals right now. um and then next up we got Kenzie with 50 confessionals. um and then next up we got Charlie with 46 confessionals. And then we got Tiffany with 44 confessionals. And then we got Venus with 40 confessionals. And then we go all the way down to Ben, who has 26 confessionals. So pretty big drop off there.
Wow.
Um, and then Maria with 19 confessionals.
Still that low.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's kind of crazy. It feels like she's so important, but we're not getting a lot of her narratively, which is definitely interesting. Um, And then last is Liz with 17 confessionals.
Yeah. Ugh, man. Uh, we are getting closer to the end, so it's like, and especially with those numbers, well, I don't think
Yeah.
it's gonna be Maria. Don't think it's gonna be Liz. If that's the case, like, dang.
Hmm.
Ben, I guess we can count him out too because that's pretty low compared to everyone else. A 14 drop off, that's nuts.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with Q, which
Move on.
Kenzie, Tiffany, Charlie, or yeah, I say Kenzie, Tiffany, Charlie,
And
Q,
Venus.
or Venus.
Yeah.
The thing is, Venus, I did say there is a win condition, but like Joe said, she's not the most responsive. She doesn't take criticism well,
Yeah.
or like or whenever she feels attacked, she attacks back, which is something you do not want to do at a final tribal council.
Yeah.
You just, you know what I mean? Like you need to own your game. You have to
Hmm.
own your game, and if you made a mistake, own up to that mistake and be like, yeah, I did that thing. I didn't play a clean game,
Yeah.
but you go forward and you keep trying.
Yeah, there's also 3, players right now, who had 0 confessionals in an episode, and typically that means, at least for most of the time, that that person's not as important because they would've at least checked in with
Are
them to some degree.
are those people Kenzie, Tiffany, or Charlie?
No.
So it's one of those 3.
Yeah, those 3 are most likely winning the game, yes.
I honestly think out of the bunch, it's probably gonna be Kenzie,
Mhm,
if not Charlie, just based off those numbers. Because I feel like Tiffany's, target is getting bigger and bigger, and I think it's gonna be harder to
mhm.
recover from that. Not impossible,
Yeah,
but hard to recover.
yeah. I think we got kind
It's
of a
definitely, I
bad
think,
I
yeah,
th I think this episode was kinda bad for Tiffany, like, we kinda saw her, like, actively telling someone that they're not working with them anymore, like, even though it's Q, like, I mean, she's at least burned that vote of Q, if he's on the jury for her. Um, I feel like she's got I think she's someone
yeah.
here, let me keep going here.
Uh,
I think she has like her group of people that she'll be really tight with in that moment, but then the second they're not needed, she kind of will isolate from them. And which
yeah,
we see that with sometimes winners, but even like I saw comparisons because like Brian Heidick did this in Thailand. Now he got to the final two with someone who was also super unlikable and barely won using that strategy of being really likable and then kind of isolating and then cutting them out when they weren't needed. Um, so she would have to do that, which I don't really see happening. I feel like we're not getting told narratively that she's winning the game. I think we're getting told narratively she's an important player, but not
yeah.
in a good way that she's winning the game.
No, I agree. That's why I have her as 3 because,
Yeah,
like, just based off of the stats and everything, it's either yeah, Kenzie or Charlie.
yeah,
Um, I don't know who I want out of the 2. Maybe Charlie, because
yeah.
I relate to Charlie a lot,
Yeah.
but, like,
This is a very unlikable final 8. I'll say it. Like I'm not there like last season I had like 5 or 6 people at final 8 who I would have been like I'm down for this person to win the game. E- Kenzie and Charlie are the 2 I know who are most likely and even then I'm kind of not like yay, I'm so glad that we're getting either one of them. Like I think they'll be fine. They'll be fine winners, but I'm not happy,
I
and
feel
those
like
are
I
those are the 2
I
best
feel like
ones.
I've come around a lot on Kenzie.
Mhm,
I feel like she needs 1 or 2 more things for me to, like, really, really get behind her.
mhm,
Charlie, without the bias of being a very relatable guy to me, where he's like, the nerd,
mhm.
Swifty, stuff like that. Where I'm like, all right, I see a lot of myself in Charlie, or like a lot of traits that I was like, oh yeah, it would be cool to be like, like in the sense of like, oh yeah, I relate to him.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Yeah.
where I'm like, yeah, that gets me behind him. I know I'm not 100% alone there, but at the
Mhm.
same time, this is the same person where we were like, he's number 7 on your list. We were like, we don't know how he's actually gonna do.
Yeah.
But because I've seen him, I do like the dude. I wouldn't say there right now. There's no one from this season where I'm like, oh, I definitely want to see them back in something.
Yeah.
Except for like, I think it would be cool to see some people back, but there's no one here where I'm like, they must come back.
There's no locks. I feel like a lot
Yeah,
of the other new era seasons, like I go, these are the locks. I don't have that as much. I'm like, this is like the season that they might have is like the filler kind of people that you bring back because it's like, oh dang, we couldn't get back Jesse from 43. We couldn't get back Omer. Like people who are like turning it down. Like this is the season that you call on.
yeah. Or if they want that representation, like from Thailand, where it's like,
Mhm.
we need someone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do think if you do heroes versus villains, new era style, you gotta have Q and Venus.
I feel, do they come back though?
Yeah, I mean, I know that Jeff does not want Q back, I bet. I mean, I don't know that, but I like knowing his history of hating on quitters and Q
Yeah,
literally tried to quit and failed. I think I think he does not wanna entertain that.
yeah. Because I know we made a or you made a fun little thing, and I had my 2 cents on it for a
Yeah,
new era heroes versus villains. And like, yeah, I agree with both of them, but I think it's the same thing with the Emily Flippin thing, where it's
yeah,
like they actually have to want to come back in order for
yeah,
that to happen.
yeah. I know Emily doesn't want to, which is a shame. I feel like I mean, she would be another person who would be an instant lock if she wanted to come back.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because I've recently I put it on pause for a while because just other shit coming on, but I've been watching season 13 of Big Brother,
Mhm,
which the reason why, because I wanted to watch Portia's season. For those who don't know, I met Portia in an org. She targeted me very heavily. But like, we're cool now. We're not like talking every day or anything like that, but like we cool.
mhm,
But you know, she was but like, I was watching that and like there's a lot of returnees from that season. And it's like Rachel and Brandon, who are like, I believe still married now. But like they were like talking and there was like, we were talking to our, so stressful coming back here. It's a lot on the mind. It's tough. And I mean, like, and that's Big Brother on Survivor, where you're also starving, where you're also exposed to the elements, where you're away from your phone for 26 days. All those things, it's a lot harder to be like, hey, let me do that again. Uh, Especially if there's like a social element. Like I feel like
mhm.
it 180'd with Emily Flippin, or it flipped over to something positive.
Yeah,
Uh, but like, it went from her being like, oh my gosh, who the hell is Emily to Emily, we love you.
yeah,
Uh, Whereas you see the same kind of redemption arc for Q or Venus, where they're like kind of done.
yeah.
Screw this.
Yeah, well, Emily realized it like, 3 or whatever, that's what people felt, and she made a, active attempt to change and, not be that kind of person. Definitely not happening with Venus or Q. Those 2 are
Venus, there were opportunities. Like
yeah.
Maria was talking to her, and then Venus was not having it. It was like, oh, okay, so you're attacking me right now, so I'm gonna
Yeah,
attack you.
yeah,
And then Maria's like, no, chill.
yeah.
I can work with you, but tune it down.
Yeah. I know Tevin and Soda said in their exit interviews that they tried really hard to talk and do stuff with Venus, but she just her attitude refused.
Uh, uh,
Yeah. So
man,
let's we still gotta do MVPs and LVPs here.
we do. Uh, all right, I'll let you go first.
Okay. MVP. You know what? I'm actually going to give it to Tiffany here. I think that her not using the idol and coming in, I think that was a very calculated move. Like
Yeah,
she knows everyone knows the idol. The right move for a lot of people when you have a public idol like that is to play it immediately. So tell everyone that any plan that could have been going on to her is now kind of like, do we really want to just let her decide? And then it goes into this kind of switch the vote situation. And then she still gets to keep her idol because now she knows that everything just switched.
yeah, that's a pretty solid choice. I'm gonna choose Charlie one because he took down the challenge beast and stuff like that. I feel like he
Yeah,
he went from being in a very questionable spot in the game, especially when it came to the merge, to being like or the mergatory to someone where, all right, he's in a good spot to kind of win.
yeah.
So, and he finally got his redemption against Hunter. I think with those things, I'm gonna give it to him.
I,
But
I think that's a very
definitely big
solid
shout out
choice.
to Tiffany.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think those are definitely the two front runners. I think editing wise, I actually think Kenzie had, in my opinion, the best edits in terms of the episode. Like, even though she had the plan that ended up not being the plan, I feel like
Yeah.
it was definitely presented in a way that was like, this is a great plan. This is what we should probably be doing. And then the
Yeah.
cast, breakdown.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All
um,
right.
uh,
LVP.
OVP. I mean, you gotta go Hunter. I mean,
Yeah, he didn't listen to his Spidey sense.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, like with Q, I think the thing is Q wasn't really allowed to play the game, so it's
yeah,
tougher to judge it
yeah,
because he wasn't able to make moves.
yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Granted, because of his own things he did it in a game, but still.
yeah, for all we know, he bribed everyone by giving them Q skirts. Like that's
Yeah,
maybe that was a huge play that we just didn't see. Maybe which by the way, producers, if that's the case, big mistake. Big
yeah.
mistake.
I know I saw an edit online where it was someone photoshopped Q into Shark Tank about the Q skirt, and it's the funniest. I even sported a Q shirt on Friday
Yeah,
in the sense of like I wore it when we did our thing when I was talking to some of my heroes versus villains peeps. I also put on the Q skirt. Uh,
yeah.
it is I haven't worn it out in public. There is a Survivor in Los Angeles this Saturday. There will be a Survivor little pop-up by like CBS and stuff that I'm
Mhm.
going to. I already got my ticket and everything.
Oh,
It's
nice.
free. It's just like a little pop-up. I think I'm gonna rock a Q skirt.
You should. You should 100% wear just show up with the Q skirts. Uh
Like it's one of those things where it's so deep to I, say what you want about this season. I feel like it's so meme worthy though.
yeah.
You have just one team
Oh
with
yeah.
several.
Oh yeah, the comedy of this season is great. It's just
It is meme. Yeah,
it's like everything else around it. Like if you're coming to the season for strategy and gameplay, this ain't it. This ain't it.
you're here for the memes.
Yeah. Yeah,
For
yeah.
the
Meme culture loves this season. Which to be fair is kind of good. I think there hasn't been the greatest of memes in the new era. I feel like a lot of the
yeah.
fun meme stuff happened earlier. This season at least definitely is delivering on it.
Like people are legit like, yo, we want Survivor 47 to be called Survivor 40 several.
Yeah.
Like they demand.
And 100% that is going to be what Jeff Probst says at the beginning of the season. I don't know if it will continue, but he is going to reference 40 several when he gets onto that beach.
Feel like because they haven't even I don't think they've gone out there yet
No, they're going
for
out
it.
within like a month, I believe.
Yeah. So I don't know. So the cast has definitely seen that if they're well, I mean, also if you know that you are going to be in this in Survivor and whatnot, it
Mhm.
behooves you to watch the current season that's going on if you have like an idea. I feel
Yeah,
like that's a good place to start if you're just about to go on the island and whatnot, haven't
yeah,
seen anything.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, yeah. I feel like they usually, I feel like it's usually like the end of the season. They like immediately go into filming because I feel like they always know whatever is the previous or like whenever there's this like crossover time, they usually know who
yeah,
the winner is of the previous season when you're in this kind of gap. It's when you're doing obviously like the if you were 48, you don't know what happens in 47, obviously, because you're doing it at the same
yeah,
time. But
yeah.
yeah,
So they'll be aware. They'll
yeah,
know of Jelensky, the
yeah,
legend.
yeah,
Uh, it's kind of interesting how Survivor has taken like GOAT. Like if you say GOAT to anyone else, they're going to be
yeah,
like greatest of all time. In
yeah,
fact, when I first kind of got into, or like when that the GOAT thing started to become a thing in Survivor, and you started using it around, you're like, why are they calling it a GOAT?
yeah,
And then it's like, oh wait, it's kind of like, oh, it's used as something where modern culture, it's like GOAT means greatest of all time, but in
Mhm.
Survivor it means basically a floater, someone useless getting to the end.
Yeah.
And now legendary might actually have a negative connotation now, where it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, he's a legend."
Yeah.
Where it's like,
First boots.
yeah, is someone for, so Will, who was, spoiler alert, the first boot on Heroes versus Villains on Tribe of Nerds, like, he's pretty active in the reunion chat, and, he was looking he was looking up greatest players and whatnot, and guess who popped up?
Zelensky. When okay, season 40 was almost supposed to be Survivor Legends. Like that was supposed to be the thing, and then they switched it to
Yeah,
Winners at War because they realized they could get the winners to do it. Um, so that means Legends is still maybe something they do.
I mean,
100% you bring
we're in this
Zelensky.
so, here's my thing, and I think it's fair game to talk about this.
Mhm.
Next year, around this time, Survivor is gonna hit 25 years.
Yeah,
It doesn't line up to 50, which is gonna be a huge milestone of its own, of, like, 50 seasons of a show. That's
yeah,
insane. So few even get ha so few shows get even a fraction of that,
yeah.
uh, less than 10% of that. The fact that it has that many to its name is insane,
Mhm.
uh, especially because it's not as prominent the social zeitgeist anymore. But the fact that, like, it's gonna reach 25 years and then 50 seasons, I feel like we're in for a returnee season or 2. I think
Yeah.
at 48 and 50, we get 2 different returnee seasons.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel like 48 is going to be like the all-stars of the new era kind of
Yeah.
situation. Like let's bring back all the people and then 50 has to be like please open up the gates again and let not just new era people cuz
Yeah.
we definitely
I
need.
wanna see some old faves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, and but the thing is, like, they have to go back to 39 days if they bring people back from those times, because
agreed.
people will either you'll have a lot of people saying no, refusing, people complaining on the island if they're out there who are doing 26 days, like, those people like, a lot of people for or, 40 and below, they do not like the idea that it is not 39 days, so,
I don't think a lot of fans do either. Granted, when
yeah,
we watch it, it's the same show, but at the
yeah.
same time, it just doesn't hit the same.
No, I think I do think it definitely impacts the game in
It
elements
does, because 'cause you're
like
more and I think production kinda wants it to be more fast-paced, but at the same time,
yeah,
like because I think another thing that 46 has going against it, granted, there are things within the season, like, if I
mhm,
because I didn't watch all the seasons in order.
yeah,
Like, I saw some here and there, and then once I got to college and got, like, CBS All Access, back in my day,
yeah.
that's what Paramount Plus was called. Uh, back when it was CBS All Access, I was like, "Okay, now I can watch all the seasons that I haven't seen before." Same thing with, like, Amazon Prime, where I was like, "Oh, so it has season 3, but does it have 1 or 2? Okay, so I'll watch season 3. I'll watch this.
Mhm,
Alright." Uh, but, like, if I just out of the blue watch this season, I don't think it's a great season to watch, except for the lulls. But, like, I think another thing that this season has going for it is the new era fatigue,
uh-huh,
where it's like cut and paste. They've been doing the 3 tribes 6 seasons in a row. Uh, there's usually one team that's completely decimated because they just can't get a leg up because they have no
yeah,
food, they have no fire. Uh, it's like people are wanting a change in the formula.
yeah. Well, yeah, 100%. I think even Jeff Probst knows this. I mean, the fact that he's thinking about taking away forced fire making means that he knows that, stuff
Things need
needs
to
to
change.
change. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Um, I mean, I still love this show. I'm not gonna let one season derail me from loving this show. It's
Uh,
given me so much joy in my life, and it's
yeah,
introduced me like, we're approaching on 5 years. We're getting a little sentimental here because
yeah,
this channel would have been on for 5 years come this fall. Joe would not be as good of a friend of mine, and we would have had Joe and I would not be probably even talking if it wasn't for this. And it's not
yeah,
because we knew of each other and we hung out a few times in college, but we didn't like know each other.
yeah. Well,
But
yeah, we
because of
never
this,
had a class together, so
yeah, but because of this podcast and everything, you're one of my closest friends.
yeah, same.
We we inspire each other with the crazy shit. We're both in orgs now, and we're both kind of like legends in our own
Yep,
regard. Not Gillette.
yeah.
I might be a Zelensky legend. Let's be
So
real.
we have both never been voted out pre-jury. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, uh, but like we both make a name for ourselves. We're both standouts within our season. We both have something, but like that's because we knew each other because of Survivor and this passion.
yeah,
Uh, you know, so much of it opened up doors we never thought were there
yeah,
by being fans of Survivor. Or I'll be open with you guys. Last year near the end was a terrible couple months for me. I won't get into it too much, but me going to that Survivor 45 finale party, apart from just meeting a contestant I really wanted to meet, was something that really just saved my holiday season
mhm,
because it was a rough go around. It's something that really inspired me. And, doing the orgs helped me live out my survivor dreams. Um, so, and then make some friends along the way,
yeah,
make some people laugh and raise money.
yeah.
Why am I getting so sentimental?
I know. I mean, hey, I wouldn't have done the Orioles if I didn't really know that they existed until I saw you doing Fans versus Favorites 3 for Vanquish and was like,
Yeah.
dang, that looks like fun. Let me be a part of it.
Good little transition. Cuz, fellas, ladies, and non-binary peeps, they have applications out for Fans versus Favorites 4.
Yes.
So we'll leave if you want to be like us and be a Vanquish alumni and
Yeah.
find your own Portia or your own Tanya,
Yeah.
uh, you know, hopefully you get the latter. Uh,
Yeah.
but if you want to have one of these journeys, it is possible. So join the Vanquish fan,
Yeah.
and who knows, you may play a season with Joe,
Yeah. Maybe.
or
I
I
don't
might
know.
host a season where you get to be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll definitely see. And I mean, if you're on it, give us a shout out. Say, you learn from the day
Exactly.
after podcast. So
The day after bar.
if you win, we
E-
can take the credit, but if you lose, we can then critique your game and feel like we're
Exactly.
doing, great work over here.
Exactly. Um, nah. Uh, we might have to get commission.
Yeah.
It's for charity. Any commission we would get, I would just give back.
Yeah.
Anywho, uh, because yeah, it's for a charity. It's a good cause. If you guys want to play Survivor and not have to starve for 26 days, this is a fun way to do it.
Yeah,
And you get
absolutely.
to be part of a fun community.
Yes, yes. Just try not to be as big of a villain as I am when I play.
Or a pariah like I am.
Yeah. Yeah, those are our big advice.
Learn from me, learn from my mistakes. And
Yeah.
now that Joe's Big Brother is coming to an end, we're going to be putting out some tell-alls,
Yep.
not only from us, from my Heroes versus Villains mini and his Big Brother season, but also we got some people from different seasons, mostly from Joe's seasons and whatnot. I'm very
Mhm.
bad at reaching out. Also, Jake, shout out to Jake, did a lot of tells already of a lot of
Mhm.
people. There is one person that he did that we've talked about getting on, but we've been busy. But now that like our games are over, we'll be able to get more of that content out, especially because Survivor will be coming to an end.
Yep.
Um, because there's only 4 episodes left. That's including the finale. So yeah, be a lot more than just brand steals coming soon.
Yes, exactly. But also Brand Steel's coming back. I know everyone loves
Of
a good
course,
Brand Steel.
we
You know,
will. Yeah, but
yeah, what is it?
yeah,
We've now had 107 canon Brand Steels.
it's
Uh
nuts.
yeah, it's still wild that we're over the 100 mark.
I know,
What started
man.
out as just a fun little like do it here or there turned into our like staple, like what people come to see.
Know about us.
Yeah,
Yeah. All
wild,
right.
wild,
Well,
wild. Okay, well, yeah, that does it here. I feel like this has been quite the podcast.
it has been. It went, but that's the thing about a podcast.
Mhm.
Sometimes we start on one topic and then we get derailed and then we talk about a lot of cool shit.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
But yeah, that does it here. And we will see you in the next one.
peace.